Do you know there's 5 things you should know about buying a used ATM? Stay to the end of the video. I'm going to give you these 5 things so you can buy a used ATM and not feel cheated. Hi, I'm Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind group page, and I help hundreds of aspiring ATM business owners go from 0 ATMs to ATM Business Pro in as little as 30 days. Always remember, here at PDQ Merchant Enterprise and the ATM Mastermind group page, we buy your freedom back one transaction at a time. Without further ado, the top 5 things you need to know about buying a used ATM. Point number 1, when you buy a used ATM, make sure the ATM is EMV upgraded. What is EMV? EMV stands for Euro, Visa, MasterCard. So back in 2017, all the ATMs had to have the little chip. So if you look at your debit card, your credit card, they have a little chip on there. Before that, they used to all take swipes. So if you look on the back of your card, there is a magnetic swipe. Well, we used to have to just put the swipe in. And then in 2013, 2014, they started putting the chip card in. And 2017, they made it so it was almost every card had the chip. ATM industry had to be what they call EMV compliant by 2017. Now the gas pumps and some of the filling stations, they actually had 2 more years, 2019, to get this to be compliant. But right now we're in 2022. Almost every card has a little chip card reader, and the ATMs will take both swipe and EMV. However, if you don't have the little chip card or little chip reader on your ATM, it'll still read it for magnetic stripe, but then what happens is it'll downgrade into swipe, and you can have what they call a liability for that transaction. What does that mean? It'll still take the transaction. However, if it doesn't take the chip, anybody who wants to dispute that card can. And if somebody takes $100 out of your ATM, they can dispute that charge and say, hey, they didn't get their 100, and you have to pay them. So this is a very costly mistake. So what you want to do is, if you're buying used, you always have to make sure that it is EMV capable and it does take the chip. How you check that out is you put your card in there, it'll lock your card down or clamp it down, and then it'll process transaction right before it dispenses the money, it'll kick it out. But this is a very important thing. Almost everybody is EMV, but you might find an ATM from time to time that isn't, and you don't want to buy that ATM, because you might not be able to even upgrade it, which could cost you anywhere from $200 to $1,000 to upgrade it, or it can't be upgraded, and then you just bought basically a paperweight. Point number 2, make sure you have the safe password. So many times I've seen guys they went out and they bought an ATM, and so he says, oh yeah, you know what, the password is 555555 to get in there, and you say, all right, and you buy the ATM, you take it back, and you put the 5s in and it won't work. Or they give you the dial, it used to be a dial, and they give you the password and you don't open it up, and now you get back and the guy says, well, that's what I thought it was. And you're like, well, great, now what? Now, here's a little tip. One time, the person we bought an ATM, we went to buy the ATM, and they gave us the password, and the password didn't work. On and on and on. And I got mad at the guy, and I said, look, you said that this is the password, and we weren't going to do the transaction until they gave me the password. So the guy gave me the password, it didn't work. And so, you know what? The guy came there, I said, look, this isn't the password. We tried, he said, this is the password, I'm telling you. And you know what we did? I said, you know what? I know this is silly, we should change the battery. We changed the battery, and it worked. It was just the battery was low. So sometimes, little tip of the day, that battery is low, it won't open up. So you can always change the battery. So if you're interested in starting your own ATM business but didn't know where to start, I will share with you a checklist on how to start the ATM business the right way, and so you can avoid costly mistakes along the way. In this checklist, I will share with you 5 things you need to start your profitable ATM business so you can build a passive income source for your family. You'll have a clear roadmap towards ATM business success so you can earn between $250 and $1,500 of passive income every single month. All right, let's get back to the video. Point number 3, make sure you have all the passwords. Now, most ATMs, Gen Mega and Nautilus Yosung, they have 3 sets of password: operator, service, and master password. So make sure you are able to get the master password. If you don't have the master password, you can't get into the programming keys. And if you don't, now you have to have the programming keys so you can rekey the ATM. So you need the master password to get to the programming keys, and then you need the programming key password so you can enter in the master passwords. So if you don't have this, then you're SOL. or what you have to do is you have to do a master reset on the Gen Mega and or Nautilus Samsung. So if you have to do that, now it's a whole big situation. You have to have the right protocols and the right literature to make that happen. So make sure that you have the master passwords for both units, and make sure you have the master key password so you can reprogram those ATMs. Number 4, make sure that there's not any liens against the ATM. Well, how do you do that? Well, one of the ways is you have those passwords. A lot of times what will happen is somebody bought the ATM or they leased the ATM and they password protected the ATM. So now what happens is the guy says, oh yeah, that's my ATM, sells it to you. You can't get the password. You can't get into programming. So then the guy says, oh, well, you know what? Call Sam. Sam's got that. He'll give it to you. You call Sam and say, yeah, I didn't give it to him because he owes me $1,000 in the ATM. There's a lien on it. So if you want that password, I'll give it to you. Give me the $1,000. You're like, well, I only spent $1,000 for the ATM. Yep, you get the $1,000 plus $1,000. So what are you going to do? You're going to go back to the guy. So make sure that's one of the reasons why you make sure you have the password. And then there isn't any liens on it, but you can always make sure that there's no liens on it by having all the passwords. And point number 5 kind of goes along with point number 4 is make sure the guy who's selling you the ATM owns it. I've been in situations where we went into a convenience store. There was an old ATM there. The new owner says, I don't know, I bought it with the store. I don't want it. You can have it. And I said, you know what? I'm not taking it. I don't want to buy it. We put it in the back and we put an ATM in the store. And 2-3 months later, he said, hey, whatever happened to the ATM? It's like, oh yeah, the old guy who came in the ATM, he owned that ATM. He came in, he took it out. Now, if I would have took that ATM or bought it from that guy, it wasn't mine to buy. It wasn't that owner's to sell because he didn't own it. So make sure if you're buying an ATM that the guy who's selling the ATM is the guy who owns the ATM. Don't get yourself in a trick bag by buying something that isn't yours to buy. And one kind of last point is when you buy used ATMs, what you're doing is, you know what, the ATMs might be a little cheaper, and you know what, you got it. And sometimes you're getting a deal, you're saving money. Sometimes you're saving as much as $1,000 to buy a used ATM. It takes a little bit of time to recoup that $1,000. So it sounds like a good deal. But if you don't know what you're doing, you could be buying somebody else's problems, and you're not. If you're new to the game, I always recommend if you're new to the game, buy new because it avoids a lot of these costly mistakes, and you don't know if is the ATM having a problem or are you having a problem. When you buy new, we always know that the ATM is not having a problem. Most of the time it's operator error. So I highly encourage the new people in the group, buy new, get about 4 or 5 ATMs, and then at that time you can always buy used and start to save you some money. I see it in chats, guys always have used ATMs for sale, or they're operating used ATMs, and that's great, but there was a learning curve to that. So don't get yourself behind the 8 ball. Buy new in the beginning, and then if you want to buy used, then go ahead and buy used. So if you're interested in starting your own ATM business, I want to invite you to my free checklist entitled ATM Business Passive Income Checklist, the top 5 things you need to start a profitable ATM business, where I'll share with you 5 things you need to start your profitable ATM business so you can start earning passive income, make more money, and spend more time with your family. So click the link down below to register today and get your free checklist. Again, this is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind group page, where we buy your freedom back one transaction at a time. Thank you guys very much.